My name is Cristiano Lanzano. I work at the Nordic Africa Institute and I conduct research on small-scale gold mining in several areas of West Africa, particularly in Burkina Faso and Guinea-Conakry. I focus on small-scale and artisanal gold mining. That is a rapidly expanding sector since the late 1990s and early 2000s. Actually, several hundreds of thousands of people are estimated to work in it, both in Burkina Faso and in Guinea. In some mining sites that I visited, pits are not so deep. They can reach maybe 10 or 15 meters depth, and they are aimed at reaching the so-called secondary or alluvial deposits. In these cases, it's about small teams of people, can be even 3 to 5 people, working in the pits and alternating in digging underground, and some people remaining outside to lift the bucket. The consistence of the rock extracted in this case is usually milder. It can be gravel or even mud. And this means that it necessitates manual techniques for processing and not a lot of technology. When the diggers reach the groundwater layer, they need to take out the water to continue mining. And this can be done manually, but with the availability of water pumps today, it's also done mechanically. Sometimes other kinds of pumps are also used, for example, to inject fresh air in the deepest part of the pits, because miners need to breathe and they need oxygen to work in that. Washing can be done manually, and already in this very simple process, gold nuggets or other gold-rich particles can be identified and isolated. In this case, it's only calabashes and basins and water required for this kind of treatment. Manual crushing can be done with hammers or mortars and pestles, and it's a complement to the washing phase, and it can help identify further nuggets and gold particles. Another kind of pit is more common in western Burkina Faso, but it has arrived now either in Guinea. It's deeper pits that can reach even 30 or 50 meters depth, and they required some wooden internal structure like scaffolding in order to secure the shaft and to prevent collapse. It also requires more coordination within bigger teams. It can reach the size of 20 or 30 people, and more specialized work. There are teams who are expert in posing the wood and building the internal scaffolding, and other teams who are experts in digging and identify the gold vein. In this case, the pits aim at reaching the so-called primary deposit, where the gold vein is identified and then followed. In this kind of vein, gold is mixed with quartz and other elements. And this means that the processing will have to be different. Mechanical grinders work more or less like cereal mills, and the rock is introduced several times, usually 3, in order to be reduced completely to very fine powder. Once completed, the powder is brought to washing stalls, where very simple tools called sluice boxes are employed. These are constituted by sloping wooden planks covered with pieces of spongy cloths, and the powder mixed with water is poured on these planks in order to concentrate the heaviest part on the bottom of it. The pieces of cloth are then taken from the plank and rinsed aside in basins, so that the richer part can be isolated from the rest. Through circular movements, then the miner will try to concentrate the heaviest part of the powder, and sometimes shiny gold particles are already visible at this stage. In this process, one essential element is the use of some drops of mercury. They are mixed at this stage with the powder, and they help concentrate the gold particles. The final result will usually be some small spheres or balls where gold and mercury are mixed together, and then by burning these small balls with a camping gas, the mercury will evaporate, and the gold will remain available for the miner to sell. In this phase, the tailings, the remainings of the previous processing phases are mixed with water and cyanide, then left in basins, and they drop into plastic tubes where pieces of zinc have been inserted. The zinc will attract and concentrate the remaining gold particles, and then a last stage of treatment with acids where the zinc is melted, and then the result is mixed with water and boiled several times, will conclude the process. Cyanidation has become very important because people now know that it is the stage where the biggest quantity of gold is isolated and produced, and this has generated a lot of changes in the organization of production in artisanal gold, with different kind of actors trying to monopolize the cyanidation phase in order to get the largest share of profit. Another recent innovation that has made its appearance first in Guinea around 2010 and a few years later in Burkina Faso as well is the diffusion of portable metal detectors to find residues and gold nuggets. These machines are still quite expensive. They can cost up to some €1,000, so they are usually owned by urban-based entrepreneurs. But they are becoming very popular for people who work in very small teams and are more mobile than the traditional bigger teams that dig the holes. Crushing and washing stalls concentrate in very large commercial areas that develop aside the extractive areas. In these places, also traders and providers of various kinds of services locate their activities. And these areas can become also areas of dwellings where temporary houses are built for the migrant miners. Here we see a furnace with blacksmiths working for building and repairing tools that will be used in the pits. Buyers also locate their activities in these commercial areas, and miners, independently from the technique that they have used, will go to their stalls to sell their final product. Women are also very active in artisanal mining areas. They tend to concentrate on sectors of the chain that require less technological endowment. For example, processing the remains and the residues of former pits. In this case, an open-air pit left empty by a large-scale mining company. This also shows that there is a strong dependence between small-scale and large-scale mining, because companies tend to identify the rich areas using the presence of artisanal miners, and at the same time, of course, artisanal miners tend to locate themselves at the margins of the concessions given to the companies.